their, and to citizen review and other independent oversight agencies for their review, as far as you know?
Councilor Davis, as far as I know, that is correct. Is that, again, it's the original video that is provided to the courts with absolutely no redaction or any changes to the original. And it is a copy of the original.
Chief, I think there are allegations in this, obviously, that we talked about before, that perhaps, and I think they've raised a chain of custody issue, and I spoke to the district attorney this afternoon, and I spoke about that very briefly. It seems like defense attorneys, as of today, are already filing motions or making motions challenging videos in routine cases because of these allegations, and it seems to me that we're about to enter, Mr. Hernandez, I'm sure, a very lengthy process of litigation and responding to unnecessary sort of motions that might be sort of out of forced errors, but I'm concerned there's a chain of custody issue in these high-profile cases wherein the officer's recording may be passed on to another person who will be responsible for logging it, placing it into evidence at some point, and that the officer may not know whether the original was carried through to the evidence server. Is that a legitimate concern, and has that been addressed in these concerns today? Or perhaps, Mr. Hernandez, maybe it's easier for you to give us an update and address some of the concerns that were raised in the affidavit, however it's easier for us to handle this.
Mr. President and Councilor Davis, I know that since receiving this affidavit that raised questions about these issues, that the department has been investigating them. I have already had a number of meetings looking into those allegations as well. And the TASER cameras and the evidence.com cloud-based system have a lot of safeguards built into them so that it's a system so that the video footage is either on the camera or uploaded to that cloud-based system. And so there is not the same kind of issue that you would be raising, because there are built-in protections to make sure that once it's recorded, it's on that camera until it is uploaded to the system. And once it's on the system, there's a very detailed process, basically an audit trail that shows every single time that video is accessed or any action is taken. And so there's a way to track every single time that there was an action on any video that's in evidence.com.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Mr. President, briefly, Mr. Hernandez, since you reviewed the affidavit and had several meetings, can you tell us if you reviewed the specific audit trails of the, particularly the videos in question in the Mary Hawks case and in the Robertson case? Is there an audit trail available in the evidence.com for those?
Mr. President and Councilor Davis, that will be, I've already started gathering and reviewing those, but there are individual files for individual videos, so it just takes some time to gather those. But yes, there would be an audit trail for each video, and all three of these cases had officers at the scene with TASER cameras that would have that system of being uploaded to the cloud, to the cloud-based system. So that's what we're in the process of working with the department to do, is to gather all of those audit trails to confirm the actions on those. But what the chief said is correct, and TASER's user guide also says very clearly as well that when redacted copies, when a copy is made for purposes of perhaps redacting, like you were describing at the beginning, for a request out to the public or the media, that it does not alter the original. And so the original is there no matter what copies are made for different purposes.
And Mr. President, perhaps one more. I think there's concern that the city's former evidence technician, evidence custodian for the police department, records custodian, says that he has seen that video has been deleted and altered, and the department has done so in the past in high-profile cases. In other cases, it appears that he alleges that reports in some of the special investigation units, like gangs and major crimes, I think he's always trying to allege here, that reports were written to match the video instead of having officers write their reports and through the standard process and attaching their video to evidence. Chief, are you aware of that process, and have you started any inquiry into whether that process whether that allegation is true or has been addressed previously.
Councilor Davis, I can tell you this, is that after the meeting that we had today with legal, we will be starting an investigation. We'll be contacting the U.S. Attorney's Office tomorrow to find out what they are doing to make sure that we fully cooperate with them.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll give it back. I just yield and say, I want to be cautious, and I understand the necessity, having been a police record custodian, I understand the necessity of redacting things like victim names and victim identities and particular information from some of these videos. But I also understand the concern of prosecutors and quite frankly the public that look at this and say, here's a person who should know, sworn under oath under a criminal penalty, that he witnessed this and that he believes these things have happened in high-profile cases that have resulted in litigation. And we're already seeing them show up in others. I think we want to be careful because it does start to, it paints the picture that every time we make a step forward with APD, we seem to be taking 2 steps backwards. And it's always around transparency and accountability and reporting. And I want to be sure that we're presenting that in our best case forward. If there's a quick answer, I hope you'll both share that with this council as quickly as possible, so that, along with the district attorney, obviously, so we can shut those down. And if we get a response from the Department of Justice, I hope they'll share those with us as well, even though they may be litigation. We certainly want to know about that. I think it's a serious issue. We can nip it in the bud and answer that and show that the originals are there. That's great. But can you, and maybe as a closing question, give us an answer what you expect, how quickly you can give a response to the district attorney about whether those particular videos cited in the affidavit, so that you can provide the originals you have on hand so that they can be compared to the ones in the courts and through POA and others that have been used in this process. Do we know a timeline for evaluating these allegations and getting a public response so that we can either resolve this or elevate it to the place it needs to be to resolve it in a higher level?
Mr. President, Councilor Davis, it's obviously a very high priority for the department to look into these claims and to provide information to the public to help them rest assured that the integrity of this evidence is maintained. I don't think that there is, based on the investigation so far, there has not been any evidence so far to substantiate these allegations. That's what we know so far. It's ongoing, and what we're doing is gathering the audit trails for these specific files. I think that, honestly, on a time frame, I will need to follow up. When we had that meeting today, the way that we left it was that we were asking evidence staff to gather each of those. So I can certainly provide an update, but it is a very high priority, and we'll be trying to do that as soon as possible.
Mr. President, may I follow?
I don't. Mr. President, Mr. Hernandez, let me ask one other question. Is it appropriate in this case for us to have an outside person conducting that investigation to preserve the integrity of the result of that investigation?
Mr. President and Councilor Davis, if some outside entity with jurisdiction with authority over issues like this were to investigate, the department would absolutely cooperate with that investigation. If they're in the meantime, the department does have a system in place with these audit trails, and TASER is certainly available to provide information about how the audit trails work and function, but the audit trails are in place for exactly this kind of situation, so that it's very easy to determine whether or what actions were taken with respect to a particular video. So that is a very objective kind of evidence that can be put forward to show whether any of these issues did occur with these files.
Thank you. I think I'm only asking that we're having APD staff who are at least alleged in the allegation to participate in some of this conduct, participating in a review or as a participant in that process. I think some folks may raise that question. My question would simply be, your office has provided outside counsel in the past to provide these independent investigations in a high-profile manner. I just want to raise the question of whether it's appropriate for us to appoint an outside contract counsel to conduct this so that the result of the inquiry can be above reproach. Nobody can say, as we are here today, that the police department investigating itself produced a result that found that we did no harm.
Who has access to the audit trails?
Council President Lewis, actually the administrator and TASER. They can go in and view the entire audit trail from any one given video, from the time it's uploaded, how many times it's been viewed, and by who it's been viewed by, the date and time.
The administrator, APD administrator has access to the audit trail, also works together with TASER to, at what point, and going back to this, the evidence and how it goes from the camera to the evidence.com, at what point, when there are copies made, at what point are those copies made? Are they made from the camera, are they made from evidence.com, and is that what's already uploaded?
Those copies are made from evidence.com. The original stays intact on evidence.com, and what's generated is a copy, and then the copy goes to whoever the requester is. I would also like to note that the DA's office also has full access, so all of those videos, they have viewing rights as well as copyrights, which means they can copy a video to a CD.
Would the DA's office have access to TASER to be able to also investigate the audit trail?
That's a good question that I can't answer, but I could find an answer.
Okay. So I understand that there's copies made for all different purposes, and those copies would be redacted, I guess, in certain ways. So it seemed like that those copies could be compared with that original uploaded document to see what to compare, what was changed, what was redacted. And, I guess the question is the integrity of that original evidence, and where and how if it sits to this day in the state that it was when it was uploaded. I think that's what you're saying. You're investigating, and you want to get back to some further answers to this.
Well, Council President, one of the things that TASER assured the department of when this process began with TASER is that once they're loaded into evidence.com, that is the original. We make copies all the time for the DA's office, for public defenders, for other attorneys, other entities that never, they're never redacted. Redaction is very rare, and I think that's something that you need to know. The software to even try to redact is very difficult to even use. We are not a television or movie production studio where we can go in and do that type of redaction. It's very, very difficult. So in the times where we have redacted, where we're trying to blur a face, it's a very lengthy process. But only the copy that is given out is redacted. The video itself stays in its entirety in the system at evidence.com.
Mr. President, I'm looking at an administrator reference guide that TASER provides with their evidence.com system. And it says evidence.com never alters the original video evidence file when you create a clip or a redaction. So by design, the system maintains the original file even when copies are made. And the software, or the evidence.com program, does allow you within the system to make a copy and then do redactions within the system. But it will show you the two separate files. It will show you the original file and it will show you the redacted file.
So the cases in question, and we're confident that the original files were given over to the DA. We're confident that the DA has the original files for the cases that are in question, and has the ability to be able to view the original video.
Actually, the DA, because they have user rights and view rights, they can go in and see it themselves.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess the issue that I got, can an original be changed or redacted before it is updated to the system? I think that's where a lot of the issue is. How can it be changed before it is updated to become the original?
Council President and Councilor Winter, to the best of my knowledge, no. But that's one of the things we're looking at, is that once it goes in, once the camera is taken off and downloaded into the downloading device, it goes right into the cloud.
Councilor, any other questions for the administration, for the chief, or administration? Okay, we're going to move on then. Thank you, Chief. And
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez. Go to the journals. So, Council, I move approval of the November 7th journal. And motion saying for approval of the journals, those in favor say yes. Those opposed, no. Motion passes.